taking time to be here today. I know I didn't do a big push and promotion because we didn't have a specific topic or speaker today. So that in mind, still looking for the April 25th. If anyone wants to present to the group on April 25th, there's an opening. But this group, I think most of us have been here before, was formed about a year ago, and literally have over 160 some odd people that receive the newsletter, just a weekly communication that goes out, and um, a wonderful group. I mean, you look at people's backgrounds, and we have some really educated and professionals at all different levels, lawyers and scientists and professors and PhDs, a lot of the PharmDs from my background, and of course all of our entrepreneurs too, and business leaders. So it's been a great group to hear about what everyone does and what they're an expert at, and love coming together. And it's not a requirement to give referrals, but the more you get to know people and like and trust them, and then it's easier to give a referral to someone. And once you get to know what they have to offer, there's someone in your network that probably needs exactly what Richard has to offer. There's someone in my network that needs Paul's help, and we've brought a lot of different topics in here. We kind of keep circling back to social media and outreach and growing your networks through different platforms. Bob and his team are experts on the LinkedIn platform. I've had some fairly good success on other platforms as well in growing groups there. But yeah, live by the principle that I learned, over 30 years ago from the late great Zig Ziglar, that you'll get all you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want. And more recently, Anthony Robbins talks about the secret to living is giving. So this is the kind of the foundation of this group, is come together and learn about each other, and then find ways to give, and give. In this case, it would be referrals. I'll always have a special gift for you too, just because of my background with healthcare for the last 20 years. I'll put it up in the chat. I guess I should put my contact information up in the chat first, or for everyone. Feel free to do the same as well. If you haven't attended this meeting before, please let us know who you are, and you can just go to the chat and put some information up there. You'll see mine going up in the chat right now. And there's a link tree to all of my socials, and then my connection there on LinkedIn as well, if we're not already connected on LinkedIn. But the free gift for everyone is longevity. So I think from the beginning of time, everybody's been trying to figure out how to live longer. But it's one thing to live longer, but not live healthier, right? Because I don't want that. I don't want to live longer and be miserable. No one wants that. So if you want that longevity, let's at least be well and happy about it. So I've got a free gift for you. If you want to add 8 to 10 years to your life, this is a health risk assessment. If you can answer all of the health risk questions appropriately, you're well on your way to adding, for you ladies, it's 10 years. For us men, we only get 8 years if we follow everything exact. So, but some good information there. If you can't answer all these questions correctly, or have some issues there, then you may want to reach out to me, and we can see if we can help you.
What are you going to do? Are you going to put that in the chat?
It's in the chat. The free health risk assessment is up in the chat.
I'm looking at the link right now. It works, Breck.
Good. The other thing,
it wants to know about my pain. It wants to know about my stress.
Yeah.
It wants to know all sorts of these super secret. Maybe Sam T. Bernard needs to answer.
Yeah,
this.
You better turn it over to Sam T.
Good old Sam T. He actually exists, by the way. Sam T sits atop my shelf in the living room.
Yeah.
I'll have to put his photo up one day.
I just spammed the chat for a meeting that also we get into these topics, and so there's a great group called Wellwave Now, Healthcare Disruptors. It's a spin-off from my social media platform, so I've got over 100,000 patient following, and I needed to get a lot of them help. I'm not a doctor, don't even play one on TV, and so I set up a Facebook group to funnel all of these questions into the Facebook group, and from there it's grown into a live chat every Tuesday afternoon with Dr. Bob Levine, myself, and Tim Daniels, and then Mike Hayes, who you've seen here on this group occasionally, is also a part of that. He's our official promoter. It's not bad to have a promoter that has two Peabody Awards and was with CNN, so it's kind of fun to have him help promote this group. So we've had some good chats. We talked about stress a couple of weeks. We talked about living pain-free for a couple of weeks. But yeah, just a good group that, like I said, go back through the health risk assessment. If you can't answer all those questions appropriately, you may want to jump into the Wellwave Now group and spend some time with us there.
So, Breck, a question. So
Sure.
it says on this on top, by completing an assessment, you agree to share this information with my provider and agree to an e-visit if necessary. So
Yep.
what does that mean? You go.
Hold that question. I'll be right back. I've got a service person here hollering for me, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Bob, let's talk about AI until I get back. I want to hear all the latest and greatest.
The latest and greatest. Well, I'll tell you something else that I've been doing, which I think you'll appreciate. In one of my other networking groups, we started doing 1-minute video testimonials. So people are figuring out the person they want to do a testimonial of, and they're making a recording. They're sending it to me, and I'm putting it in my YouTube channel, which is kind of interesting because I did it several months back with another couple of guys, and we got over 500 views and comments. I don't know how many comments were left in that, but it's every way that you can get yourself exposed to other people. That's marketing is about you, right?
Yeah.
Agree?
Agree.
The more we get, the more people will remember us. And one thing, my favorite sayings is when somebody finally makes a decision to buy your product or service, if they don't remember you, they're going to go to the first person they do remember. So marketing, and after that, you can do some more marketing. Do you guys tell me? I know that who is it? What's his name? Does a lot of marketing. God almighty, why am I blanking on his name? Paul Vlash. I know you do a lot of marketing, right?
Paul Valek,
Yep.
Mr. Professor Valek.
Yeah. Try to get the word out and try to, it's changed the way you do it. That's for sure.
Well, especially with AI nowadays.
Yeah.
One of the things that I talk about that's missing in AI, number one, it's always written in third party, like ChatGPT. It's not about you. It's about maybe do this, do that. You should, instead of I'd recommend, making statements like that. So if you go to My City, you can personalize your AI at the top of mycity.com. There's you write your AI article there, and then you can go in and you can edit it into first party. Right? You understand? You're between first and third party.
Yep.
Isn't that person? First and third.
Pardon me?
person.
Yeah. Same
But
thing.
don't you agree? Isn't that one of the problems of AI?
Bob, it depends how you give it instructions. If you instruct it, act like, a person and say it in the first person, it will do that.
Which AI are you using?
Well, you can use ChatGPT, but you have to use the paid version for it, I believe.
Yeah, but Claude can do that. If you give it, please please make your responses in third person or first person. It will do whichever you tell it.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to look at Claude and I haven't done so yet. CLAUDE
Claude. Yeah.
dot AI.
CLAUDE.ai.
Dot AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta look at that. I just you get busy doing so many other things. It's hard to keep up,
Bob,
isn't it?
Bob, go to POE.com. POE.com. That is kind of like a consolidator. You have all kinds of you have Claude, different versions of Claude. You have ChatGPT 4, you have like, I don't know, probably 30 different AIs in there, and they do different things and you can play with them.
Good. Writing your name down.
POE.com.
Great. Well, the world's turning, right? Changing.
Yeah, so I'd be anxious to hear about how everyone is using AI today and making your life easier. Example would be I can respond a lot faster to social media posts and make meaningful comments by using artificial intelligence to at least start the outline of the comment. My problem with any of the chat bots is they tend to be they tend to pontificate and get a little long, and so I'm having to train it to abbreviate or make your comment shorter.
So what are you saying? You're saying like do it in 250 words?
You can just say respond to this comment or respond to this article, and you copy and paste it and you put it in and say I respond in three brief sentences with I don't know, joyful tone, or what you can the more information you give it, the more it's going to create exactly what you want. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you can either ask for a summary or takeaways, and the takeaways are far better than a summary. So because the takeaways will be maybe 10 things, but it'll be 10 sentences or two, and then you can tell it to, if you want to know more, you can concentrate on that one.
And depending on what you're responding to, you can say things like pretend you are Bill Gates and respond in 3 or 4 sentences, that way. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no limits.
Yeah. Welcome, Dr. DeMar. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Richard is a pharmacist. I saw the in the chat here. He's new to the group and does DNA consultating, and so I'm guessing that is pharmacogenomics or PGX. Is that correct, Richard?
Yes, it is. So I do PGX testing for medications. I also do for nutrition, looking at people's vitamins and how their body absorbs different things like MTHFR or folic acid and things like that. And I also do genetic testing for the BRCA genes for women and men for prostate cancer and breast cancer and different genes like that. And so I'm kind of have multiple hats with the genetics and yeah, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, excellent. I messaged you and gave you my calendar link. I'd love to set up a one-to-one because that's one of the primary focuses of these wellness centers inside of community pharmacies is customizing or personalizing medication approaches, right? Why take a medication that you can't even absorb? You know, if it's not right, it could be the right medication, maybe the wrong dose. Maybe you metabolize differently than all the patients that were actually a part of the trial, right? So it could be the right thing, just needs to be a different dosing, or maybe it needs to be changed altogether. So yeah, I'd love to get more into depth with you there. And you're up in Idaho Falls.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I live in Idaho Falls.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
do you also do all of this from a pharmacy, or are you a floater, or do it outside of a brick and mortar pharmacy?
Yeah, I'm actually not in a pharmacy at all. I don't have any medications stored. So I have an office that I work in and where I meet with patients. And also I also meet with patients through uh, uh, telehealth. So I use that system. That seems to be more common because here in Idaho, um, like it's a lot of people live out in far in farm areas, and it's a long drive to get into town. So I give them the option to do telehealth, and they love that. So I try to make it as accessible and affordable for patients, and it seems to be working pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, welcome to the group. It's glad you could make it, and it's nice to have you here. So, um,
Richard, did you put your information in the chat room?
Yes, I did.
I didn't say, I must have just missed it.
so Damar Lewis is also a pharmacist, a PharmD, and
Okay.
as a consultant, similarly to you, but he's more on helping pharmacies with their finances and doubling their profits, keeping more cash. And then another Richard that had to jump off. We co-host a meeting for pharmacy owners in how to get their financial house in order.
Hey, Richard, you did put your information, but do you have a contact information, an email or a website or a calendar if somebody wanted to meet with you?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I can put that in.
I
I
see a
can put
good
that in.
background on you there, but I didn't see a contact. So, but awesome.
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I'll put that in.
I'd be curious how these, as you say, in the rural communities, because we're trying to do a project here, but you're wondering how acceptable is that rural population, or especially if it's a deep rural population, to this whole technology thing. I'm gonna get an app on my phone. What is there a struggle to get that sometimes across to that it's okay?
Um, Surprisingly, it's actually been very positive for me. And most patients I reach out to me because they're doing research on the internet, and obviously internet's more accessible to everybody now. So and they're just looking for, they hear about it and they ask their doctors about it. The most backlash I get actually are from MDs that are they they're just more stuck in their traditional ways, and they don't want to venture into, well, maybe we can try genetic testing. And I I have some doctors that are interested, and they do send patients to me, which is great. But there are some that are just, I don't want to deal with that. I that's not 100% proven. I don't know what that's about, and I try to be more receptive and try to answer their questions and concerns, and yeah, it's different from office to office that I work with and or don't work with, and but patients after I do go over it with them and talk about the concerns, they're very receptive and I get really positive feedback from them. For an example, I had a patient who had a genetic variant um, that they don't absorb or they can't convert Plavix into its active form. And if they somehow had a stroke and they were first line, Plavix would be the first line for it. They would be a even higher chance for them to have another stroke because that Plavix is not working. So they were so thankful. They did have heart issues, and they I definitely sent it to the doctor, and if they didn't take that test, who knows what could happen. So I feel like I'm doing something great for people, even though it's not, even though it's a new technology and kind of scary to some people, but doesn't make me not want to keep going. So
Yeah. Damar, your hands up?
Yeah. Well, really two things. Number one, is it possible to have Richard on the calendar to kind of talk about pharmacogenomics and
Yeah.
well, and really nutrigenomics as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then number two, um, if it's possible to potentially kind of join you and Richard when you guys do meet, I'd love to do that because I think that's also an opportunity for coaching clients as well, because they can't do everything. And so if there's a way for, again, a way to venture whereby, they being able to provide pharmacogenomics and have, and work with Richard, I think that's a real good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you, Richard, if you got what Damar's asking is if you'd be willing to make a presentation to the group. We meet every Thursday morning at the same hour. And, we're pretty flexible about what day would work for you. The next available would be next Thursday, the 25th, but then we also have an opening on the 2nd and the 9th of May too. So if you were willing to make a presentation, usually
yeah,
about 20 minutes to the group, and then leave it open for a question and answer afterwards.
yeah. Yeah, I already have one set up. So unfortunately not next week. I can't do it. I'm pretty booked, but probably the week after, I would say. I think I'm free. Let me just double check my calendar. Um, oh no, I can't do that way. I'm free the 9th.
Okay.
So the 9th I can do it. Yeah.
All right, we'll pencil you in for the 9th.
Okay. Sure. I'll put that in my calendar.
I got a question for the group, since it's a smaller group. How many of you are heavily into AI? Yeah, raise a hand or a shout out.
What do you mean by heavily? I mean, I use
Yeah.
it daily, but I don't know that I would be an expert.
Yeah,
It's
same.
interesting. I was introduced to a gentleman that is very, very heavily into AI. And he's bought and sold companies based on all this stuff. And one of the things that we got into is the world is changing so fast. AI is going to be a huge influence. The other week, my wife, it was out of I think it was Australia. She showed me a video of a robot that you could not tell was not human. That's getting out there, isn't it? You could even stop and ask questions and do that, and it answered anything. So this is where this world is going. So get used to it. What do you think?
I don't know if to be scared or excited about that, right?
Yeah, Jasmina, you seem to have a lot of knowledge about AI.
I don't. It's just, it's moving so fast. I mean, unless you're completely immersed in AI, you never have enough knowledge because it's growing so fast. You need to realize that at this point, AI is creating AI. So our
Right.
brains
I was
are
gonna
like
say,
trailing their, I mean, we are on the horse and these guys are in the rocket, you know? So
Yep.
it's really hard to keep up. I mean, I went to a short 3-day course on different types of AI, and I was just like, wow. So it's just moving so fast. So I'm trying to keep up, but it's not the easiest. And it definitely can be used in many different ways. And yes, there are, I don't know if you saw, I don't know what's her name. They call her Sarah or something. It's just a head of a woman. I don't know what you saw. Did you see the whole body like a human or just a head? Because I've seen a head of a woman and she's like having human expressions, everything. The guy's interviewing her and he says, "What do you think about this?" And she goes, well, I'm not sure. I mean, you would never know. You know, if you just saw from here, you would think it's a woman that's just a headshot of a woman, but there is no body. It's just a head. It's kind of creepy, but yeah, we're definitely going there, and it's scary, especially legally. You know, because there will be, I think there will be a whole new attorney's specialty. It's already kind of forming in that because there will be more and more issues, and I guess we'll be uncovering them as we go because it's moving so fast. You know, people don't realize that we think .com was fast and then, you know, the whole online world, but this is nothing. This is moving like 100 times faster. We don't even know it go like, you know, that's AI these days.
yep.
Well, you know, there. I think AI is kind of, and I'm probably need. There's probably another section that it's one is for creation of content,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other is the management of things. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, sending everybody after this meeting, after I put you into a CMR, is my what thing that it's going to send everybody an email that says, "Hey, great chat today. If you need any help, blah blah," or other stuff. Versus the what I put the link in there. Any of you who like to produce music or want to produce music, I apologize for now taking up many hours of lyrics because or just creating topics because it creates a country song for you. That was in the AI meeting before this, and we did shoelace. What was it? We did shoelaces, tying shoelaces, and somebody else threw something else, and this thing came up with a country song for that. They came up with 2 in like
Amazing.
30, 45 seconds. It was amazing. You're just laughing, going, wow, okay. So
I'll tell you a quick story. I might have told it in one of these groups before. I called Mark Spitz. Everybody remember who Mark Spitz is?
It's swimming around in my mind.
Mark Spitz, the skier.
No, he was a swimmer. He had a
7 gold
swimmers.
medals.
up to Phelps.
Yes.
So that was 1972, if I'm not mistaken. So he's best friends with my brother-in-law. I call Mark and my brother-in-laws because they're so inseparable. Well, my nephew did a video recording of Mark Spitz and he sent it to me. And I swore to God it was Mark Spitz. I could not tell the difference. And he tells me he had created it through AI.
Yep.
That's where we're at. That's why there's such a big fear of hacking going on, because now you can imitate just about anything, anybody. And this is the world we're heading into.
Yep.
So who knows, gang? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we're probably going to get passwords, you know, so that you actually know it's you. but I don't know if you will be able to transfer that password securely to anybody, because if you use any technology, so yeah, it's going
Yeah,
to
I
be
know.
tricky.
I know that a lot of parents are now, having like that family word that the kid would say back to the parent, because there's already been cases where a false claim had been made that a kid had been abducted and they're wanting a ransom, and it was all just because somebody posted a video and they took that voice from TikTok or from
Right.
Instagram or whatever, and they just duplicated that voice and
Yep.
then had it sound like the child on the phone saying, please help me, and so you've got to come up with those safe words, if you will, or the family word of what you're going to say, and then you're going to have to change it often too, right? So this week's family
Yep.
word is watermelon. Next week it may need to be something else. So
Well, you know what? I recommend to everybody here that you go into Google and you ask how many times there have been hacks this week based on AI. I think it's going to be very interesting what it says. And you could even ask it how many of them are voice imitations of a human.
right.
And I think you're going to get shocked out of your minds.
Yep. Yeah. So has Elon Musk ever launched his big $18 billion platform, Gork or something like that? Grok?
All I know is his stock
Oh
is
yeah,
thinking.
oh yeah, that was mentioned.
I don't know if Grok is going live yet.
don't
I
think
thought
so.
it was supposed to have gone live, but maybe not. But interested in what he seems to have a little different angle on what he believes the outcomes need to be, where everyone else is just rushing to get a consumer base so they can, sell them something, right? Yeah,
What does
subscription.
ChatGPT have? 200,000 members now, or 200 million members? I'm sorry.
For who?
ChatGPT.
I don't know.
I think it's 200 million members, if I'm not.
Yeah.
It's exploded.
Yeah.
And it's only going to continue to explode. What's going to hold it back? The government? That's the fear factor, isn't it?
So this coincides a question in the chat from Dr. Bob about an update on one of my projects that goes hand in hand with what Richard was talking about too, and pharmacogenomics and DNA and using it for nutrigenomics, so nutrition as well. So the wellness centers that we are putting into community pharmacies, I already have a waiting list of well over 100 pharmacies that are waiting to get set up. And so to have this capability of a patient going somewhere to learn about what they can do to just be healthier overall. So sure, you'll have some of the chronic care needs where somebody needs a strep test or something like that, but the focus will really be on longevity and wellness. So it'll be A1C programs and heart health and overall just nutrition and wellness. And we're utilizing artificial intelligence in these clinics. So through getting a good lab results, so blood labs, we can look at 118 markers in the blood that artificial intelligence looks at those deficiencies, if there's deficiencies there, and it matches those with other like patients and their deficiencies that turned into a disease state down the road. So we're literally predicting disease before it becomes disease. So you think about that for a minute. That's a really amazing way to use AI, right? Is to help people have a better diet. And there's so many ways that naturally that can be improved. But then you got to take into account that a lot of the nutrition that you would get from, your fruits and vegetables today are being farmed in a process that doesn't have the same nutritional value that the fruits and vegetables may have had 30 years ago for a lot of reasons. We're depleting the soil and not replenishing the vitamins and minerals back into the soil. We are genetically modifying crops so that they're bigger. Everything's bigger, and because it's sold by the pound, not by the quality. We have people that have all these allergies like gluten intolerances. You can actually get wheat from European wheat, from other parts of the world that people that have a gluten allergy don't have the same problem because of the way that we process food in this country. So there's some really interesting things that we're going to be able to learn from and help these patients to get over things that they may have thought, oh, we just have to live with this, like gluten intolerances. Paul.
All right.
Well,
so I put a link into the chat at grog.com is open. Since we were stuck on tying shoelaces and I just put the prompt of tying shoelaces. Grog gave me 4 steps, each defined separately: forming the loop, creating the bow, tying the knot, completing the loop. Each one of those has a three underneath it. It has tips, common mistakes, variations of the basic knot. It gives me instructions. Bunny ear knots are more secure for children thing. So, a very simple thing like that. So Brett, what was what was the topic you just talked about briefly? 3 words, 4 words, genetic?
So it would be using AI to predict disease from deficiencies in a patient's blood.
It might not be deficiencies. It could be, overexpression.
Abnormalities or
Yeah.
but because you get a blood test back, your doctor reviews it and says, oh, you're in normal range. But what does normal mean for Dr. Bob versus what does normal mean for me?
Right. Yep. So it's really just analyzing the blood work, right? Breck, I have one more. While he's looking that up, I got a question for you. Are you going to be like doing centralized data collection to assemble numbers really quickly on how well all these wellness centers are analyzing data and coming up with some pretty remarkable results?
So funny that you mentioned that, because when I was searching for a management team, because I didn't have, I was bootstrapping this project on my own and I needed help. And so I did a big national, actually went international on my search for a management team. The gentleman that came to the table with some background in technology and data analytics, it was actually the chief data officer for the largest media company in the world has come on board. And when he's wicked smart, as they say, when I handed him over my prospectus on what I wanted to accomplish, in 2 days, he turned around a full business plan identifying $100 million in revenue I had not even considered. And it was through the analytics that you're talking about.
I'm sure it was AI generated too, right? I'm just kidding. No, really, but that's I'm sure there's a boatload of revenue to get, and even more importantly, pushing out the technology to show what it can do. I think it's a brilliant project, and I think you can, as long as we're using pharmaceuticals for certain things, it's really valuable to be able to predict, how to use them and when to use them, right?
Yep.
And when they're going to work, when they're not going to work.
Absolutely. Dr. Lewis, you've had your hand up for a while. Thanks for being so patient.
Well, just I feel like we're a tag team, Breck. I just wanted to give you a case in point. My wife is actually gluten sensitive, and the funny thing is, we went into Erewhon, which is kind of a high-end natural foods grocery store, and we picked this one particular bread because it was next to a gluten-free bread, and we tried it, and she didn't have a reaction. So we specifically, found the baker. It's a local baker here in Sherman Oaks area, and we talked to him, and that's exactly it. His mom grew up in, I want to say it was Switzerland, and they process foods differently, and it was just the fact that and they're definitely not genetically modified. We realized that it wasn't so much that it was wheat as much as it was modification.
Right.
And that's the other thing. And I right now is when I think of AI, it's how can it help do things simpler, faster, cheaper. And so, and then likewise, can we go back and look at drug therapy and say, well, based on the genetics, what are some of the other things that we can treat people with a particular drug that, I'm just going to throw out there amlodipine, can we use amlodipine for other diseases outside of blood pressure based on, using AI? And what's the best use for things as opposed to, so I really think that that's the next phase is that we're in kind of the first stages of AI and the amazing things that it does. But then also, what is it going to help us do simpler, faster, cheaper? And will it have an impact?
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Lamar, I just want to mention one thing, and that is that apparently European wheat is different and doesn't cause the same problems. And it could be just the European source of the wheat that makes a difference in gluten sensitivity.
No lights are gonna pop up for changing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no, I think
absolutely
you're
true. Yeah.
spot on.
Well, you mentioned that's always when like you're looking for somebody to create a logo for you to create something. And so those are the three things. Well, you can have it cheaper and faster, but it's not going to be the third one. Or, you have to pick two of the three. You can't have all three. Today, you can have all three because things can be done very rapidly. Things are, very creative, you go to Midjourney and some of the stuff that comes out of there or there. And if you want to, you can charge $3 for it. Or $5 before you charge 500 or 1,000 or something. Today you can have all three and you can be cheap or and say, well, no, and I guess the secret is I think the secret is if you know how to do it, if you know which of those things to combine, and that's where it may be, well, yeah, I charge $1,000 because I know what to I know what to type in and what to click on.
Yeah, there's in our pharmacy industry, you have a few key players in the pharmacy software space, and they charge an arm and a leg for that software that's needed because you need to be able to electronically adjudicate claim information to payers in order to get reimbursed for the medication that you're dispensing. So you need them. They know that you need them, and so they've created this economic model that requires a big setup cost and then a monthly, fee for that software when the basic needs of doing electronic adjudication could be done at a fraction of the cost. But it's kind of tied up with these 3 or 4 main big ones. Damar, what is a typical monthly cost for a like a Pioneer RX or something like that?
I want to say it's probably, $500 to $1,000 depending on, the organization.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost that organization any, the developer, it's already developed, right? So they're charging those fees for servicing, ongoing servicing, but it's like a little bit like insurance, right? Where we pay and pay and pay into it, but when it comes time to actually get a claim out of it, oh no, we don't owe you that money, but keep paying your premium. Yeah. So, we'll went a little different direction than what I thought we might go with our group today, but didn't have a speaker lined up. So, love to take anyone that would be willing to present to the group. We've got several openings that are open. We also haven't. Oh, go ahead.
Rick, quick question about what I asked earlier about that questionnaire. You said you're going to address that. Your questionnaire.
Yes. So, we can work with whoever your PCP is already, or we direct you to a local provider. The goal here is that eventually we'll have a Brim Wellness right in your backyard, and we'll then direct you to Brim, which will be inside of the community pharmacy. But
Okay.
until then, any follow-ups that are needed would be shared with your own primary care provider.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.
Hey, Greg, I may be able to do next Thursday. I'm in a quandary, which I've been in for a while, that I may actually be doing it from California. But yeah, if you need somebody for next Thursday, I'll step up and see that's the 25th, right?
18th, or today's 18th, 25th, yes. Yes.
All right, I was
yes.
gonna say, are we still on Thursday?
Yeah. And that's okay if you're in we welcome people from California too. Look, Bob and
I know I'll be wondering if they'll accept me over there. I think Bob escaped California, if I'm not sure.
I'm actually at Rancho Mirage, which is still part of California now.
Yeah.
I
Barely.
bounced between
Barely.
Scottsdale
Yeah.
and
It's
by the way, those of you in Phoenix tonight at the ASU Maricopa Community Colleges, the little tech building that's 4 stories high at 4:30-ish. There's always a meetup. It's AI, tech, all sorts of medical stuff too. They did a whole thing on cancer screening, ATI. The medical school was there the other day talking about stuff. So it's a great way to meet. And their motto, they have this motto, and the line is, and you get 2 free drinks for showing up.
Wow.
If all of that isn't exciting enough. But there's some great people I've met, venture capitalists, all sorts of eclectic, maybe the word.
They don't tell you what
Venture
you're
cafe.
drinking, just that you get 2 free drinks.
It varies because the bar that gets set up, there's Pepsi, Coke, and all, but they always have some good mixture sometimes of stuff, so you never know. But and they have wine and stuff, but it's a great eclectic is probably the word of the day. And then afterwards at 7, everybody literally walks down the 3rd, whatever it is, street, and because it's an old kind of the old Roosevelt Row thing, to a Barsco's Pizza, and they take care of us there. They give us a good deal,
Yeah.
and so.
Well, just I bring that up because just recently I heard of a dad that was so nice to have a tea party with his little daughter, and they sat down and had this tea party, and the toddler was taking care of him, and he'd had a couple of cups of tea, and she just kept refilling him. When mom got home, she was a little horrified because she knew that she hadn't gotten the water for the toddler. So asking the toddler where she got the water, she pointed out that she had gotten it out of the toilet. Her
Oh,
dad had been drinking toilet water at his tea party.
Oh my God.
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right.
Yeah, the link to Venture Cafe is in the chat, so you can grab it and you can see what the agenda is for today and next week. And so,
Awesome.
yeah.
Appreciate that. Save the
I
chat.
gotta tell you, interesting meeting. It was a very interesting meeting.
Yeah,
We had a
good
little bit of free time to open our mental horizons.
Whoa.
There you go. Now I've got a whole chat box to train with Grog.
There you go. And Grog looks interesting. Great. Thanks. Whoever brought Tesla up, or Mr. Elon.
Yep. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Bye now.